What's going on, everybody? It's EricRayweather back here. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a very important topic. Did thresholds ruin Madden 18? In my opinion, I kind of can see both sides of the argument on this, but we're going to definitely get into it and break it down, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on it, as I've been seeing this go around the community a lot lately. If you're new to the channel, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button below. Make sure to hit the bell icon so that you join the notification squad and never miss an upload. So we're going to talk about today thresholds. Did they ruin Madden 18? And I think you can make a case for it did. When we heard that there would be thresholds in the game for competitive mode, which is what the online modes are played on, online regs, online, MUT head-to-head, MUT salary cap, MUT draft, all of these modes are on competitive mode. And basically what happens on competitive mode, although I don't think these thresholds, I still think they carry over to the other modes in the game too. I haven't played on sim mode or arcade mode really, but I think most of these thresholds still carry over across the whole game. Basically the idea was that, at least for competitive mode, is once your player reached a certain threshold for a certain rating, so let's just say for a quarterback, if his pass accuracy was over like an 85, let's just say for example, he would never miss a throw, in the event that he had a clean pocket, that he had both feet set when he threw the ball. If his mechanics were right, if his feet were set, he wasn't rushing the throw off his back foot, or there wasn't a defender rushing like right in his face. If he was in a clean pocket, feet set, and his accuracy threshold was 85 or better, he would complete the pass every time. Now, if the receiver dropped it, that's a different story, but he wouldn't overthrow the ball. Whereas, in previous years, we've had those situations where we have a receiver wide open, we're in a clean pocket with our feet set, and we just overthrow the ball, and especially in competitive play and tournament play, that would cost people games sometimes. That's just one example. Another example was dropping interceptions. So if your defensive back had a catch rating, I'm not sure what the rating is exactly, but let's just say if it was somewhere in the high 70s, let's say it was 78 or better, if you were wide open, if the interception was thrown to you and you were wide open as the defender, there was not a receiver right up on you, you weren't in any traffic, it was right in your hands, you wouldn't drop it if you had a 78 catch or better. And those are good additions to the game, I feel like, to ensure that, okay, I won't drop an interception if I have, this catch rating, or if my wide receiver's wide open, if I'm Antonio Brown and I have a 95 catch rating and I'm wide open, Antonio Brown, how often have you seen Antonio Brown just drop a wide open pass? He doesn't do it. So in the game, if you had an elite receiver that had 90, whatever plus catch it was, wide open, he wouldn't drop it. And I think all of those were good. All of those made sense for Madden. But there's certain thresholds that definitely kind of hampered it in a way. And I would think the biggest one we would talk about would be the zone coverage threshold. So many of you know about it by now. If your player has a 91 zone rating or better, he will jump routes. As soon as your quarterback starts his throwing motion, if he's throwing in the direction of that defender and he has 91 plus zone, as soon as your quarterback pretty much cocks his arm back, that defensive player immediately starts breaking on the ball, which is good. Definitely a good thing, because the elite defenders in the NFL, that is how they react. As soon as the quarterback starts his throwing motion, they're already breaking on the ball, whereas less elite defenders, they react a little bit later. And that's you have good defenders and bad defenders in the NFL. That's why bad defenders get picked on, because they react later. They're often out of position. Whereas Earl Thomas, if you throw at Earl Thomas and he's reading you the whole way, he's going to probably get his hands on that ball. He's going to break the pass up or intercept it. So it was a good thing. It was really the first time in Madden that we've seen that. It didn't matter if you had a 99 zone coverage rating or an 80 zone coverage rating, last year. You pretty much reacted the same. Yeah, if you were 99 zone, you reacted a little bit better, but it was hardly a difference. Whereas this year, if you have 90 zone and you have 91 zone, the 91 zone is light years different from 90 zone. It's a complete difference. So it was good to have that in the game, that now, okay, I know that if I have an elite, zone coverage defender over here, I could count on him to jump routes for me. But where the problem came in with this is now it literally has made any defensive player with less than 91 zone pretty much unusable. I mean, if you play regular teams, you know, no team has more than one 91 zone coverage guy. So you only can get that benefit from one guy in regular teams. Now, if you're playing Ultimate Team, you can literally get 91 zone coverage at almost every position. You can get it at every cornerback, at every safety pretty easily now. And there's even a few linebackers in the game that you can get with this. So you can get all your linebackers and all your, you know, defensive backs at 91 zone coverage. And you'll have them playing very, very, very tough defense on the field. But the problem is now is, you know, they'll release cards, very good cards, that have less than 91 zone, and they're useless. They're almost useless because why would you pick somebody with 90 zone if you can get somebody, you know, a little bit more expensive, not too much more, just a little bit more expensive for 91 zone, and that 1 point difference ensures that this guy is going to jump routes. There's plenty of great cards in the game. I'm talking about cards that have a great hit power, great tackle, great speed, you know, great man coverage, but they might have a, you know, 88 zone coverage. So it's not, you know, not terrible zone coverage, but it's not 91, and that card's useless now. And it, you know, it shows on the auction house. The cards that most cards that consistently have these 91 zone thresholds go for way more than cards that have less. And you know, some of my favorite players, you know, from my team get cards on the defense, and I'm like, well, you don't have 91 zone, so can't use them. You know, a good example would be Marshawn Lattimore. His latest Team of the Week card from a few weeks back is he's an amazing card, and he's actually a really expensive card too. He's like over 300K on the auction house. Got great stats, but he has 90 zone. Now, you can get him to 91 zone if you get the motivator Tyrann Mathieu, who gives everybody on the defense +2 zone, but that means you have to invest a whole nother 250,000 coins just to get Marshawn Lattimore at that 91 zone so that he could perform to the best of his ability. Whereas if this was last year, you would just buy that Lattimore, and he's probably a really good card, but you're not going to put him on your field if you can't get him to 91 zone, because the difference between 90 and 91 is such a world of difference that you know, you're better off getting a lesser player. You're better off getting, you know, an 89 overall cornerback that has 91 zone and he's terrible at everything else, than to have a cornerback that's great at everything but doesn't have 91 zone. And that's where thresholds have kind of messed up. You know, same thing on the defensive line. There's a lot of great pass rushers in the game, but if they don't have 91 plus pass rushing moves or 91 plus block shed, you don't really want them on your defensive line, because they're not going to get the same type of animations as the 91 plus guys. So it's, you know, it's made it to where the lesser players that are, you know, are still good in other categories, if they're lacking in one area, you don't even want them on your field anymore. And then there's something to be said that is 91 zone too overpowered, and at times it certainly is. I mean, at times some of these 91 plus zone guys, I mean, they just jump stuff that is just completely out of the box, that they have no business jumping. It's almost too OP at times. Now, I'm not one to really complain about defense, because defense in Madden has always been the weak part of Madden. Offense has always been more overpowered, so you never really want to complain when something's overpowered on defense, because it's so rare that it is. You know, it's so often that defense is so bad that you really have to come up with some out of the box stuff just to get stops. So I don't want to complain that it's too OP, but I mean, at times it just truly is. The threshold is just, it's like as soon as you hit 91, that flip is switched, and it's just too crazy. You know, if you've played online, you've seen some of these defensive backs just make the craziest of plays that, you know, it just isn't even realistic. But then, you know, without that threshold, they almost won't make a play at all. So there's no balance to it. You know, the system before this was incremental increases, that your player was supposed to perform better at that attribute, you know, with each incremental increase. If you were at 88 and you went to 89, you were just a little bit better. If you went from 89 to 90, you were just a little bit better. If you went from 89 to 96, you're supposed to be a lot better. But you never really saw too much of a difference with a lot of these stats, like zone coverage, man coverage. I mean, whether you had 80 or whether you had 99, yes, you could notice slight differences, but it wasn't the type of difference that you should see going from 80 to 99. Now, you pretty much only see a difference at the threshold. Once you hit a threshold, you see a big difference, and then once you surpass that threshold, you don't really see any extra differences. It just, whether you have 91 zone or 99 zone, you perform the same. You know, they say that you perform better, but visually, watching as you play and feel the game, it's the same. 91 route running to 99 route running performs the same. Once you hit the threshold, you know, everything after that doesn't matter. So if you already have a guy that has great stats and he has 91 zone, and another player comes out that has almost the same stats but he has 96 zone, there's no reason to upgrade. Whereas in the past, you'd be like, man, I want to upgrade this car. There's no reason to upgrade because that 91s are going to perform just like that 96. So I think thresholds, they were a good idea. I think that going forward, maybe they keep the system, but they need to perfect it to where, you know, the threshold guarantees something at a certain point, but it shouldn't be the end-all be-all. It shouldn't be that, like, well, once you get this threshold, you know, it's just going to be so OP that it can never be stopped. And it should still matter when your ratings increase past that threshold. It shouldn't just be that once you hit this threshold, that's it. You're not going to get any better. And I mean, EA will say that you do get better once you get past the threshold, but like I said, when you play the game, you don't feel a difference, and you need to be able to feel a difference. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter. If the difference is so small that we can't feel the difference and we don't notice our players performing, you know, noticeably better, then there really isn't a difference. You know, it has to be noticeable in order for it to count. So, you know, I think there could be a case to say that thresholds kind of ruin Madden to an extent, but I think the idea is still good, and I think there's room to improve on it, and I hope in Madden 19 and going forward that they do improve on it. But those are just my thoughts on it. What do you guys think? Definitely leave your comments below. Do you like the thresholds? Do you don't like them? Do you think some of these thresholds are too overpowered? Do you think some of them don't matter at all? Let me know what you think below, and as always, if you enjoyed this video, just drop a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.